Welcome back to the LCS Lounge. We are at Game 5. We're going to recap really quick how Games 1 and 2 went. So,
all right, quick. Game number 1. Could have been an email. Let's get it up here. The title of the email is NRG tried to lane swap and they got blasted. All right,
not a single bit of orange on that screen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, though. This
none.
turned into a theme for the series, though.
Yeah.
In the standard games, game number 2 here, NRG was fine. They did well. In the lane swap games, they had really just been crushed up until the most recent one that we just saw. But that's game number 2 right there.
Yep. The other notable thing coming out of this game is I did think they played the Rumble well for the first time in a while. We talked about how they kept blocking Rumble. Rumble was such a strong pick, but they weren't able to execute a lot of these comps. This one was not the case, and now we'll go ahead to Game 3. Was a lot closer, a lot more banger.
Yeah, Game 3 was amazing, but even in that Game 2, you got to see glimpses of the NRG that was so iconic last year. Like the fact that we saw the Rumble go straight bot lane, make a play happen, TP topside. We saw Huhi go up topside, make a play up there for Dhokla. Everything was happening, and then we got to see Dignitas really show some fire in them.
Yep, this one, game number 3, as NRG used their Vi Taliyah combo again, but right there we saw a little bit of the desync on the synergy, as Huhi also went in and layered his knock-up over it, and Dignitas carries were doing so much work in that one. Zven and Jensen were able to get the dub, even though in that game, Jensen was dying a lot on the AD carries, and so then he went back to the mages afterwards.
You're speaking carries. Do you constitute Cassante as a carry?
Hell
Licorice,
yes.
Cassante is always a carry.
Hell yeah. When he ulties.
He was tearing them up a new one.
Yeah, he's great in lane swaps. I did really like the Vi Taliyah combo coming out of NRG, though. I thought they piloted it pretty well early, especially on like an early topside play. Here we have that Baron again. Contractz was not able to get it.
I mean, that was
continues to go back and forth, though.
That was a good combo. The last HP being 1,500 plus right there, as they had Zven combo damage with Spica and getting the last little bit. But yeah, the biggest story for those ones were the lane swaps. Licorice was getting these large leads on Cassante over Dhokla. The bottom lane was also getting a bit ahead, and Dignitas were able to utilize that successfully.
And for me, you guys know how much I like Smolder now, right? This combo. So Kobe, you talked about the Skarner coming in. I thought Contractz did a really good job piloting this in this particular fight, which this is really when NRG started taking over.
The flash ultimate from Contractz to start this off. The Skarner going through the wall, flash ulting Jensen. And over and over, he keeps on focusing on Jensen, and Contractz was able to be the big playmaker, the big difference maker this time around.
Yeah, and the Azael ulti right in that fight was incredible. Now, that being said, let's just say from that point forward, there was a lot of inconsistency coming from Palafox specifically, but also just NRG's team fighting was tough. But man, both FBI and Contractz really was able to carry them on to the next game, and I really need to see a mental reset from Palafox specifically.
And I think this game that we just saw, for me, was a big game changer, because this was the first one where it felt like NRG actually had a handle on the lane swap.
Yes.
And they actually got benefits out of it. They got FBI off to a very good start, Smolder stacking a whole bunch to start out the game, and then had a pretty smooth transition into mid lane.
Yeah, that was the most important thing to me coming out of that, is that there wasn't as big of a discrepancy in the side lanes, and also they focused on, okay, for our composition to really like take off, we want to get early kills onto the Smolder. They did just that, and it ended up that some of these fights were so messy because NRG still, I don't think, is quite synced on some of these 5v5s, where it would end up being Contractz and FBI on the Skarner Smolder combo that ended up winning out, like at Baron.
And FBI has been, at least for me, like for sure the most consistent member overall in the split for NRG as a team. But then being able to go in the second phase, see 480 carry bans with the Senna that was already banned in first phase, and be like, you know what? I know they're going for an Ashe pick. I have a pick for myself, and the Smolder I thought was the best executed Smolder I've seen from them. Even when the criticism was there in the earlier parts of the split, he was like, no, I think we're a better team now. He was confident enough, obviously, to pilot it himself, but confident that the front line for his team couldn't really protect him.
Yeah, and then for the Dig side, I think the other big thing, Licorice.
Yes.
Right? In a lot of these swap situations, he's been coming out significantly far ahead. This was, you can see it especially in his gold difference of 15. I feel like stats are so fake a lot of the time.
I mean, those are real.
But those are like, he was getting such massive leads off of NRG's mistakes in the swap.
Yes.
And I think he, for me, has been like where Palafox has had some really good games, even though he was shaky in the last game where it was like really high highs, really low lows. Licorice, to me, has been kind of the person that really has stepped up for Dignitas.
Biggest takeaway from me, get Captain Flowers on the phone. Skarner is back, baby.
He's back.
That's true.
Skarner right there for Contractz in that game. Such a playmaker, honestly. And those are the exciting NRG games that you remember when they were at their peak. So hopefully game number 5 will be a banger.
Yeah.
Look, I know that Licorice was kissing silver medal at the show match.
Wait, you still have that?
I still have that thing. It's always a memory in my heart.
Home.
But now he was going up against Dhokla, the gold medalist in this one. Don't want to be second place in a series like this, and I feel like he's been playing so well. I think you have to, if you're Dignitas, be really confident in the lessons you learned in lane swapping. Go back to it. We've been playing so well. Even when the Cassante has been banned and played away from, I think he's been playing regardless well without the Cassante.
They choose blue side for game 5. Blue side's been big. Who you guys have? Are you changing your prediction? I already flopped and lost, so like I'm out.
That's true.
I said Dig 3-0.
I never flopped. I still think NRG are going to 3-0.
That's not happening either,
I'm sticking to
my guns. I had a 3-2 for NRG. I'll hold on to that one.
Raz is the only one with his predictions still alive as we toss it up to casters to see what they think.
Muchas gracias, y'all. I love that Kobe is still believing in an NRG 3-0 where it's like, logically, it is not possible, brother. We're already at 2-2 in score, but the faithful might just be rewarded in this last game here, guys.
He's predicting purely off of vibes, which I can respect.
Don't let your memes be dreams, you know? Kobe's living by it. We'll see what the Game 5 draft is going to look like here. Dignitas back on blue side, which has won every game of the series so far, as Jatt just pointed out. But I'm dubious that it's the reason for the win.
So we were just discussing the value of what the first pick on blue side has granted throughout the series. Early on in the series, I think it was getting some really big value with the first pick Senate in game 1 for Dig, and they stopped them. And then the Rumble finally
also
working
big.
for NRG also ended up being big. But the last 2 games, it's definitely been less valuable in our opinion because the Lilia was the first pick by Dig in game 3, and this last game, the Azael ended up being the first pick, which wasn't close to the deciding factor in the game. So it is really up for grabs. In terms of the series itself, games 3 and 4 have been ridiculously close, so it's absolutely up in the air.
I think Contractz, the man who was previously on screen, getting locked in there, was taking a moment, has been having a very, very good series.
Yeah.
Absolutely bailed out Palafox in that last game after a catastrophic play that could have ended their entire season. This guy was on fire on the Skarner. I'm definitely a Skarner doubter. You know, a lot of the pros that I talk to think that it is a bad pick. And I was much more in that train. Usually when I see this pick in solo queue, it's not doing very well. It's not looking that strong. When I watched, the pros play it, it doesn't look that strong usually. But Contractz really showcasing what you can get done. Had very creative angles, coming behind the mid lane and catching Zven multiple times, finding the flash ult onto Jensen. Really was such a difference maker.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a bad ult the entire game.
Yeah, he always grabbed either a bunch of frontline targets, which gives you free space for your backline to free hit, or he grabbed a priority target. And that always ensured that Zven or Jensen was popped.
And if I'm comparing this game to the Game 3 draft, which is the last time Dignitas was on blue side, there's been a small change. NRG is the banned Lilia that had been the first pick for Dignitas in Game 3. Dignitas' bans are the same, if only in a slightly different order. Azir, Renekton, Sejuani, and Rumble is what goes through. That's the dropped NRG ban.
Exactly. That's the question, because it's like, you can't give that over to them on red side. You really can't afford to.
Yep.
So Licorice is going to grab it, and we'll have to see how he's going to perform on the champion. Definitely has been mostly on tank duty this split, as we're going to get the Kennen as the answer here from Dhokla. This is not that surprising to me because range champions are kind of his specialty these days. If you ever watch his stream, and he streams a lot, he is the range top laner CEO. He is playing Varus, he's playing Kennen, he's playing Auction, he's playing Vayne, he's playing all kinds of stuff. He's playing Zeri. He is loving that stuff. So
I will say though, you don't get lane swapped on in solo queue. And if this is supposed to be the counter pick in Rumble, we're going to be seeing some swap wars.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, right? You know, because the other side of it is, do you want a poor Rumble? Not really, right? So it's like, it's kind of tough. You don't really want, neither team wants their top laner to be poor. So I think if there's a bad bot lane matchup, I think that would instigate the swap more so than this matchup. Whereas, you know, we might just see them, I was going to say, lock at a good early game jungler and try to attack the Kennen, because that is always an option. And now they have that Vi, so it is going to be the Zeri getting locked in, which I'm assuming is going to be for Zven, but of course Jensen has piloted it. But again, you know, do you want Jensen Game 5, your season on the line, to be playing a marksman?
I would say probably not, but
That's how I feel.
the last 2 times he's played Zeri against NRG, he's killed the opponent Nexus.
Yep.
True.
So it's to me, the marksman pick that he's looked best on all Summer Split has actually been Zeri. It is still a valid flex pick for them until we actually see the conclusion of the draft.
You were telling me he was going to look good on Corki earlier too, Jatt.
And he won that game.
He did, yes.
Yes, he did win.
We're seeing the Contractz run back here on the Skarner, which is exciting. And now I'm interested in NRG. You know, are you going to be banning out picks that you're assuming are mid lane or bot? The Ziggs is much more of a bot lane ban towards Zven. Jensen, I don't really remember him playing Ziggs like ever. So I do think their read, at least thus far, is that this could be a mid lane pick for Jensen, that they would want to have AP from bot. But I am excited to see what it's going to be for this final game here.
And Dignitas are trying to target out any remaining AD carry picks for FBI. I just want to remind that Smolder is still available, and it was such a difficult wall that Dignitas had to play through once he got online, with the 225 stacks being reached.
I think NRG should ban Seraphine. If I'm seeing this has been a ban that's been sneaking throughout the series. It's a double range bot lane if Dig is trying to snowball hard, and it also gives them a little bit of magic damage, because if they go tank, support, normal AD carry, they're way too physical. But I think Seraphine can give them enough of like fake magic damage throughout the game, and maybe even a pushing bot lane. I'm not sure though. That's a shot out of left field, but I think that's what Dig could go for.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because the other angle of that is having solo AP threat often means that no one on the other team builds any MR, and then Kennen having a good game can sometimes just absolutely light you up. So, you know, it could just be them trying to set up for that angle. Likewise, you know, you often only go solo AP if you're playing LeBlanc. Kennen can have a similar kind of thought process, and I think that is probably going to be what they go for.
I mean, it's for both teams. I was thinking Dig would be the team that locks Seraphine, but to your point, both teams have exactly the same solo AP top, and then kind of AD and normal mid laner.
Okay, Jhin is going to be the lock, which always makes you a little bit nervous when you're playing by Rumble. Like, you are pretty darn vulnerable, but maybe the thought is you have really good counter engage with the Kennen. You have a secondary really strong carry here with the Corki, so you don't necessarily have to be worried if they're hard diving onto you on that Jhin. And now looking to find, is it going to be an AD that's going, you know, towards Zven here, or is it going to be the Zeri going down with the MF locked in? It is going to be Jensen piloting that Zeri mid. So it is just double AD carry here for Dignitas. Season on the line. Jensen going to be piloting that Zeri solo AP top there for the Rumble from Licorice.
Yeah, and heavy AD for Dignitas as well. The Seraphine was a bait and switch with early random ban priority throughout the series. I doubt anyone locks it in at this point. And the Bard from Huhi was so effective in their Game 2 win. Bard Jhin is also a nasty combo.
Yeah.
Nice lock.
It's also really annoying playing MF against these types of champions because now you have the Bard ult to cancel your ult as well that Huhi can be sitting on. Last time it was the Poppy that was really being disruptive to Zven's MF. This time he has to really watch out for potential flanks from Dhokla, for flanks and flashes from Contractz, and also now from that Bard ult, which could be really disruptive as well.
NRG are really prioritizing lane dominance from the bottom side of the map. We knew that it could have been another Smolder pick and just play towards the late game, but they are banking their season on ensuring that all lanes are winning and they're pushing, and it gives Contractz the edge in trying to invade and keep tabs on Spica.
I mean, I think this is going to be a really exciting game, and it's one that could be pretty snowbally one way or the other. Last time we essentially had the kind of 3 meatballs and 2 carries. Now we don't really have much of a true front line on either side. It is Contractz who's obviously going to be stacking HP on the Skarner if he does that same build as last time. And then really it's just Rell on the other side. We might get some Zonias from the top laners, but everyone is pretty darn squishy. And if you misexecute, if you misposition, you can go down in a hurry.
Low durability, high engage is a recipe for an extremely snowbally game. I think swapping is also something that could be on the table with how good Bard can be in the mobility game. And it really does all come down to this. Game 5, with the season on the line, the loser goes home.
NRG and Dignitas, one last time potentially for one of these two teams in the LCS Summer Split as we take to the Rift for the last game of the series.
It's going to be an exciting one here, and already NRG moving out on the map. They have all 5 members up on top side. Spica did spot them, so they are aware that they're in the area. And the question is, is this just a level 1 invade into a reset, or is this a precursor to a potential swap or trying to scout out your opponent's swap? You can see on the other side, Dig is also moving their bot lane up towards mid in case there's any sort of shenanigans. Can maybe catch someone who's kind of walking a dangerous way down towards bot lane. So I do think that NRG really wants the lane 2v2 with their double range here to try to get that advantage. And the question is just kind of like, well, can Dig dodge it?
Can see FBI did 49% of his team's damage in game 4.
That's crazy.
It's going to be lower on Jhin, but Jhin contributes in other ways. Strong laning phase, good CC.
By looking cool.
Counting to 4 many times.
Isles will find Huhi and FBI poking their head out of the brush, and they can now detect that it's a lane swap from NRG.
So now they're actually trying to opt into this. This is interesting. I thought that Dig would want to maybe dodge it because of that bot lane 2v2, but they're happy to answer it. Zven was sitting around mid, and Isles did this little poke and prod forward, scouted it out, and then they could have actually said, all right, Zven, go down to bot, but instead he's going up to top. So they're going to lane 2v2. It's just going to be Australian lanes here, 2v2 top and 1v1 down in bot, but it will be quote-unquote standard lanes. Cool. 1724 damage a minute, 4th LCS all-time. That's crazy.
Smolder was pumping damage, man.
Was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of frontliners to hit. It's pretty much an ideal game to get that much damage out where your Q splash is going to be hitting multiple people.
Early 2v2 all in from Huhi and FBI as they just fight for control of getting level 2 first, and they push them off the wave.
Yeah, and that binding for Huhi really changed things up because they were both level 1, but he hit a double binding, and Zven took a lot of extra damage, had used his barrier, so now down a summoner, and is chunked out here quite heavily. Plus the push is on that NRG side, so we'll see if they can survive.
And I'm thinking surely these lanes favor NRG. Range advantage bot lane, stronger trade top lane, and it's a bold path here by Contractz, skipping his bottom 3 camps and going straight into the jungle to find the Vi with his pushing lanes.
All right, now they've both been spotted. They both have red buff here, but Huhi's moving in, so there's the added man for NRG.
And this is the game plan that we talked about for NRG. They're prioritizing strong, dominant laning phases for all of their lanes so that they can start keeping tabs on Spica and preventing him from being able to clear most of his camps and Contractz, even if Spica tries to jump on him, but he has the Ishtal impact, is able to skirt away. But this gives you full information on where Spica is, and if you're able to deflect Vi's ganks early on, this Skarner will be much more useful.
Really nicely done by Contractz. I think the expectation now is that he go towards the top side of his jungle, but he's actually doing a re-invade. He didn't smite his blue, so he wants to try and steal this, but Spica held his smite as well, and it ends up actually, that extra play kind of neutralizes this lane a little bit because Contractz doesn't have as big of an advantage.
Yeah, it's also tough because now Spica shows on this ward here, so Contractz is going to take top scuttle, and then he can actually cross over and double scuttle here. Pretty likely if he wanted, but he is staying around top because he's worried about a potential 3v3. It would be a heavily winning 3v3 for them. Yeah. So if NRG can just play a little dumb, walk up, try to force them to engage, it could be good.
Jensen pressuring Palafox out, has the Valkyrie to get out safely, but Contractz was trying to match Spica to see if he was going to go for a flip on that top side of the map. Now has an angle to look for Jensen, but he should be able to flash away from it nicely timed, and Contractz just skirts towards the bottom side of the map.
Still gets the flash, and he can just go right back.
Oh, this is crazy, and Contractz...
Oh, yeah, he has no E. It was a little fast.
He was thinking about it.
Either way, Jensen is forced to flash, and he still has to feel pretty nervous, and Contractz should be able to get the double scuttle at the end of the day. So he hasn't had time to base, so Spica does have a little bit more combat power right now. Obviously, he did go back and did get that base off, but it is Jensen who's going to be a little bit vulnerable, has to be aware of where this jungler could be.
Rest of NRG's bot lane are able to push in that big wave. Spica returns to the bottom side of the map with a decent purchase, just some sub-components of the Longsword and the Ruby Crystal. But Contractz still has a chance to pick up all these camps. He didn't get a chance to farm on the bottom side of the map. He'll be able to rubber band, get some more experience from the top camps, and try and look for another invade again, as Huhi now arrives to a flashless Jensen. A couple more auto attacks could be enough. The Guardian proc trying to tank up the turret aggro. Well played from Palafox and Huhi to draw first blood.
Death by 1,000 cuts in the mid lane there for Jensen. He wasn't ready to reset just yet. He can teleport back in, but he's going to be down in gold for quite some time thanks to the Skarner visit and eventually the Bard visit.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, he turned around at the end there to try to get the fleet proc, see if that could get him out. I wonder if he just kept walking straight down, if that would have been better than looking for that zap to try to maybe trade back a kill or get a slow, but didn't end up working out for him.
And it's a repeat of the same story from Game 2 of this series, where Huhi is unlocked in the early laning phase, finds a roam opportunity on someone who has already lost their summer spell,
tough,
and
man.
punishes.
And he just used his E. We hadn't seen that initially. He just went out to ward, and Huhi's just in a spot that he doesn't have a ward for. You can't ward everywhere. You do need some help covering you around those lanes. And unfortunately for him, the ward did not spot it out, and he had just used his E to try to get the shove. So unlucky for Jensen, does get punished on the timing, and it's a good move there from NRG.
Really nice observing there to show us that ward placement by Jensen. And I don't know, this game, as the grubs start, and we got to watch to see if Palafox can disrupt it all. But it's just, this is a nerve-wracking game. This is not your normal Game 5.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll come back to this and just waiting to see if the grubs do something.
It looks like there's probably not going to be anything because Contract's going down to bot side, so you can keep going.
It's because it's just the fact that this is the summer split, so the loser has such an extended time off. The fact that the league is changing next year, and also the fact that these are all such veteran players. It's like there is an energy for me here that the team that falls here, it's going to be the last game they play together, but for some of them, it might be the last game they play in the LCS. But if they are to win some of these games and make a run...
And Spica is found on the return of the red buff. Well played by Contractz and Dhokla, knowing that timer was available, and they punished Spica for it.
I'm really surprised that Spica actually went forward after going over and seeing that there was nothing in the pit, and Dhokla's missing bot. It's pretty risky. He obviously thought that there was some sort of a timer there where maybe Dhokla was coming out of base or something, but that was very bold to walk in like that.
Nice juke by Jensen. And it does speak to Contractz clutching up in such a big way. These last two Skarner games have been so good.
They're going for the return, and Jensen still doesn't have flash, and he already used the E. No way he gets out alive. NRG are just hammering in the pain in the mid lane.
Yeah, this is just rough. I mean, Jensen has really... almost no blame in this, right? Like, I don't think he's been playing badly. I think he's actually avoided a lot of these ganks pretty well. Had a good sidestep on that previous Bard play, but you have to use your E. Then you have to go back to the wave because the wave is pushing into you. And all of a sudden, they're here again from the other side. And his team has not been there to cover. Huhi has been making such a difference. Contractz has been making such a difference in their wins. And these guys are putting Jensen at a really big deficit and trying to set Palafox up to have a great game.
And they would love to dive here, but it's just so slow. It's so telegraphed. Dhokla's under the turret. Huhi's here to defend. Can Bard ult to safety if he needs to.
And Spica's going to be forced off. I mean, he's going to force this engage onto Huhi, but he just makes a fool of him with the magical journey back into the waiting arms of Contractz. Thankfully, no Impale available, but Spica is forced to flash back to safety.
I'm pretty sure Contractz actually missed his R there. Post-Bard portal.
My
that could have pulled Spica completely in.
I missed that.
Yeah, I mean, that was close on a lot of cases. I'm not sure if Spica did flash, so maybe he actually wasn't able to flash out of it. Isles also tried to follow up, thinking that they were going to get the stun on the other side of the Bard portal, so he flashed in to try to go for his combo and wasn't able to find it. Zven had a flash, so many summoners being used there. More on the side of Dig, though. Huhi gets out pretty much scot-free. He really didn't have to use anything. They just spent those ults, so we can watch it one more time.
Yeah.
They think they're going to get this initial lockdown, and then Isles wants to follow up on it. So he's looking for the Q flash, doesn't hit it, goes through, and then, flash just to the left of that, because otherwise he would have been pulled with the Impale into that tier 2 tower and very likely died. So costly attempt at a play there, and this is likely when Jensen did die. You can see a little bit of frustration, but very locked in, trying to really focus up here in this game.
And they really need to claw something back because we mentioned with these team compositions, such low front line for both teams can end up being a very snowbally game. And it's, you have a snowball that's formed. It's just a matter of rolling it over the snow at this point. It does feel very dire right now for Dig to stay alive in this game.
I just want to go back to the fact that NRG has been so unlocked thanks to their priority of getting that counter pick for Huhi. He has been able to create so many plays with Contractz in the early stage of this game. And Dignitas, you can see that the pressure is getting to them where they're feeling forced to make desperate plays, and it's getting countered every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been such a difference maker. Both the Bard games, well, this one's obviously early on, but the last one was amazing. This one has started off incredibly well, has the symbiotic souls, so wants to be out there roaming, moving around the map non-stop. And now it's not just Contractz that can come through a wall. The whole team can with Bard as well, so it's very, very difficult. And I feel for Jensen in these kind of situations, at a certain point, there's nothing you can do if you're getting focused this hard without the help of your team. At the very least, you need wards. At the very least, you need something to try to keep you safe.
Dhokla forced to pop the Slicing Maelstrom against Licorice, who threw down the Equalizer, and it has to burn Flash just to get away. Maybe Dignitas can try and rally behind. Oh, Licorice takes a turret shot, but blocks it with the shield on his W. Spica's now trying to rally around, has ulti available. If they can get this kill, this would be huge.
Just got to push in the wave. There's nothing that they should really be able to do. They see a lot of members up on the top side. They knew that they were over by Grubs. Spica kind of preempting the play because he's worried about the 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, Licorice is almost about to go down. Dhokla! Big Dokes gets the solo kill, and yeah, he'll die to Spica, but he'll take that trade.
That is tough. I mean, Licorice was trying to really shove in the wave. Honestly, I feel like Spica could just walk into the tower and just press R, and it's a guaranteed kill. Instead, Dhokla able to find the outplay on the delayed fight there, because with Licorice spending his spells to push in the wave, guess what that means? You can't fight back in the 1v1. You're exposing yourself to the attempt from Dhokla, ends up spinning the flash and dies as Contractz looks mid once again.
He's trying to be ground Zac in the mid lane, just jumping from all the different angles. I do agree, though, with this play. Once the cooldowns are gone, Dhokla actually sees his window. But if Spica had gone 10 seconds earlier, he probably gets him. Then first he misses, Dhokla lands it all, and it ends up making a very nice 1-for-1 despite being in a dire situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's a really nice outplay there from Dhokla. That should have been a guaranteed kill for free. Instead, it's a trade, and Licorice spends his flash. So the initial good play there, as you can see there, pumped up on that one. The initial good play from Licorice totally canceled out. Now Huhi's here again.
And he knows that Licorice doesn't have flash from before. It's a big chunk from Dhokla. Not enough to look for the all-in quite yet. They would have to expend much more tools to do it, but this should set up Dhokla for a nice lane state as the next dragon is coming up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, we might even see Licorice have to just use his Equalizer, you know, as it comes up here in a couple seconds on the wave and then base. Wouldn't surprise me if that's what it's going to be. But, you know, feels that he is still healthy enough to at least get this wave. At the very least, though, that roam gets the chunk, which gets a plate for Dhokla. So Huhi again, yes, this one did not actually get a kill, but it is feeling very, very nice. And you can see the boots have been upgraded now, so he has the empowered recalls active with his boots, and he is just going to be flying around the map. I mean, we have barely even seen Isles on screen, and Huhi has been everywhere.
Yeah. There's something that Flower said on cast last week in their series against FlyQuest for NRG. At the end of Game 2 when they won, he said NRG finally woke up just in time for playoffs. And I feel like everyone on this squad has been having such a big standout moment at some point in this series as Palafox might be in trouble, but the Tempered Fate will buy enough time for Palafox to survive the dive. And now Isles is in trouble. He's flashing away. TP's coming in from both sides. Who is going to make the move first? Slicing Maelstrom from Dhokla, but he's isolated onto two, but he at least trades one back on Isles before he falls. The bullet time from Zven zones Huhi and Palafox away from the fight so they cannot collapse to help Dhokla.
Jhin is coming up as well, though, as is Contractz, so FBI wants to make something happen.
Burn call for the bullets and the slow. The last one lands on a Licorice. Not much damage, but it does force Dignitas off the tower.
Game on a razor's edge here. Dignitas had a nice window there where they had a sustained numbers advantage, but Huhi really played that exquisitely, getting the ultimate to save Dhokla, but not even turn off his own turret to make the dive even more desperate was big. Now they counter.
And now that Palafox was saved, he and Contractz and Huhi will try to look for a dive as well. Jensen's flashed away from the Impale. Spica was grabbed up, but Huhi is able to get back to safety thanks to the magical journey.
And that's so frustrating for Spica as well. He goes for the Q flash in, but Contractz is already channeling the ulti. The ulti cannot be canceled by any stuns. Once you start pressing the button, it's going to go off. So that goes through and just impales him as he comes in, so he has no follow-up damage. Can actually get a kill there, even though he commits the flash.
Oh man, this game continues to be extremely tense. Winner of this goes to lower bracket round 2, which will play on Friday next week. still just, the gold lead seems very frozen at about this 2K mark.
Yeah. I thought the Licorice was going to have another opportunity for an all-in that was almost just an exact repeat of what happened before, but he didn't have the equalizer available, so didn't elect to go for it.
He also doesn't have the items yet. Dhokla is walking back with Leandri's, and Licorice hasn't completed it yet. So even if he gets that same jump on him, he might not have been able to win the 1v1.
Second rotation of Grubs was already taken as well by NRG. So now it's equalized across both sides. Rift Herald is alive for the taking. Second Dragon also up. And Palafox, thanks to the push and the consistent persistence from the side of NRG on that top side of the map, will claim first brick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team game, and NRG has just been playing around Palafox so much better than Dig has been playing around Jensen, you know? Definitely critical of Jensen in some of these games, but he's had some really good ones as well.
Yeah.
And this one, you really cannot fault him for what is happening. Huhi is just being a menace. He is everywhere on this board. It's so frustrating. Even when he doesn't get a kill, he chunks you out. He drops some health shrines for his teammates. You know, they get healed back up. It's like constantly affecting the lanes from every angle, it feels like.
And it's also going to be so difficult for Dig to kill Contractz' Skarner moving forward in this game. Played at steel caps already versus almost an entirely physical damage team. I don't expect Rumble to be dropping ults on the Skarner when he has the Jhin and the Corki to target. So Contractz with the 2-0 as well. Very strong start to this game 5.
Yeah, Contractz looking good. It has to be said, though, it's not going to be the kind of more scaling build that we saw last time. He didn't go for that Heartsteel. He did elect for that really quick Zeeks to have a bigger spike. This is a very efficient item. It is a tanky item. It has armor, MR, you know, it has health, it has cooldown reduction, it has all this stuff. But when you get that late game, he had so many stacks on the Heartsteel. You're obviously going to be a lot tankier with that build than you would with this style.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Contractz knowing that he is practically the sole frontliner for this squad. He doesn't have the luxury of going for a more economically expensive build. He has to go Aftershock. He has to just rush cheap items as fast as possible so he can be an efficient frontline.
And I think partially as well, last time it was like meatballs versus meatballs. There's a lot of people proc Heartsteel off of and get grass procs off of.
Magnustorm from Isles, they're trying to set up for a combo. Bullet time is there, but only gets a little bit of chip damage on the Contractz as he tries to bring Licorice back into the fight. Temper Fade is a whiff, and the rest of NRG seed the fight.
4v5 though in mid lane for NRG. All this buys time for Dhokla to get free hits on that bot turret and maybe expend the lead. That was a decent look for Isles, but they were just a little bit too far away. Licorice they still have Vialt.
Yeah, Licorice doesn't have Equalizer though, and Dhokla is going to be able to walk back to the safety of his tower. Deadly Flourish right onto Zven. He doesn't have Cleanse this game. The barrier's still alive, but he goes right through the damage. Isles could be next, and the rest of NRG are trying to find the support as he flashes over the wall, but he might be in trouble because Huhi is incredibly fast. The flash Cosmic Binding for the slow. Deadly Flourish connects, and Palafox is there trying to pump the damage through the exhaust, but it's Contractz on the Skarner that rams him into the wall.
NRG's team play this last game is absolutely on point. They are taking over in this one, extending the advantage here. With their season on the line, it feels like they're really making it work. It's
really a difference as Dhokla goes
1v2. He might just get a kill onto them. Okay, he gets a 1-for-1 in a 1v2, kills the wave, stops the turret from falling, and now Contractz is on the chase. Gonna force Spica to run away.
I mean, he's very fast. He's gonna be going for more here. Don't go too deep. This whole last 2 minutes has been just the slightest difference of how well coordinated your team is. Yeah. The original engage by Dig was half a second too early. I think Isles was a little worried they were going to walk out of range, so he goes in early, but then Zven's not quite in range to get the bullet time, and they can't secure this kill. So, and then, after that play fails, NRG's re-engage was just more patient and more coordinated.
Replay, okay.
Curve the bullet.
How about those? And this is a situation where you can be like, oh, just stand behind him. But Palafox is on your face. You have to be running and trying to dodge Palafox as well. So there was no getting out of that situation. I got to say, FBI really on point with the deadly flourishes. Instantly throwing those out. Tags another one that gets them another kill. They are pumped up, and Dig on the other side knows that this could very well be the end of the year for their team unless they can pull something back. It's going to depend on those big engages. It's going to depend on those picks. Can they coordinate to get it done? We have seen the games become very swingy as they get towards the later stages, but Contractz has just been on fire.
Yeah.
He's been goated so far to me.
He's been
Him
absolutely.
and Huhi are so good, man. I'm just thinking, it's like, if they win this, who do I vote for player of the series? Because both of them have been really, really good. The 2 Bard games for Huhi, I feel like he was the one dictating the entire game, but Contractz has been good even in their losses. So it is a tough call. You know, both these players, I think, really standing out for NRG.
And for NRG fans, this is such a huge blessing to see that their team that they watched achieve incredible heights in a miracle run for the summer title last year, take down G2 at Worlds, and now return to form after what has been, for the most part, a very disappointing year here in 2024.
And for specifically Dhokla, Contractz, Palafox, 3 consecutive years together. They do not want it to end in the first round of the lower bracket of the summer playoffs. They want to make this continue onwards as long as they possibly can. So important they close out the last bit of this game from what looks to be a winning position.
I mean, Palafox, despite the Azael game, which was a rough game, he's had a really good series overall. Yeah. And, you know, he talked about, hey, if he can get over his mental block, they will come back, they will win the split. If they win this series, you have to give a little bit more credence to that, as NRG crashing forward here, going to take another tower. What is happening with that Herald? That seemed like an unusually long windup, or is that just me?
Not sure, but you know what? They got the tier 2 turret anyway, and NRG got what they wanted. So now they will back into the shadows of the jungle, where they're going to look to try and control space for this 3rd dragon of the game.
But there is a pink in the pit, so they got no reason to walk up.
Spica gets grabbed by the Impale, and it's just easy food for Palafox to chow on, and the Temper Fate locks down Isles. Dignitas are just in disarray, dying one after another.
And they're pinging on Baron here instead of taking the easy Drake. They know they have a 3v5. They're trying to take it all.
It's a 4,000 gold advantage here, y'all. NRG are just accelerating the game beyond the point that Dignitas can stabilize. It's up to Jensen and Zven and Licorice, who's now limping from the base, trying to see if they can stop them. 10,000 HP still on the Baron.
Just look at Dhokla and Huhi. They're setting up for a flank here. They're going to try to turn onto Dig.
Huhi, blast cones in. The target is Zven. He flashes on top of him. He tries to flash away, but he still dies to a shuriken. NRG turn off the Baron and are looking for more kills, as Licorice could be the next target. Isles and Spica are back from the grave, but just to die once again, as NRG are absolutely destroying Dignitas.
That was such a big sequence there for NRG. They're a little low for the Baron, but they've just extended their gold lead so much. Now they can go over and take the Drake. I'd say Zven dying was the good death. The next 2 are the deaths that they want to avoid because they'd already pulled off the Baron. NRG wasn't going to be able to complete it, but as it stands, that's now going to be 6,000 gold and a 1 Drake advantage for NRG.
Yeah, the gold lead is just really getting further and further away. It's very, very tough. I mean, Licorice is pretty far behind. He ends up going with the Abyssal Mask, which, yeah, it does give you some spell pen. It does kind of sap some of that magic resistance. But you're solo AP. You want to be that really big threat, to be that damage threat, to actually cook someone up in the back line. But he's so far behind, it's really tough for him. Dhokla is the one that's getting the advantage in this game, and you look across the carries, the gold leads are pretty enormous. Spica has been a non-factor, to be frank, in this one, and Contractz now has the Warbox completed. He's working towards his 3rd item. He's so far ahead. This is getting very, very tough for Dig.
And NRG just seem to have everything lined up to take the next fight with almost no errors whatsoever. Dignitas are down to flash on their misfortune, so Zven is going to have to even take more care in how he positions, because a Tempered Fate, a Deadly Flourish, without any type of cleansing ability from any of their teammates, is going to put him back in the grave.
NRG now starting up the Baron.
No TP
Licorice has no TP. He's got to walk this whole way. Baron doesn't die very fast, though, with the Jhin comp, so NRG's looking to peel. Dhokla's on the side.
Yeah, he's ready to go over with the Blast Cone, gets set up in position. Isles is looking around the Baron pit. 5,000 HP still on the Baron.
For a deep flank.
NRG, they want to look for the turn. Tempered Fate, it just forces Jensen to skate over the wall. He still has flash, has to flash the Impale, nicely timed. And Dhokla's now trying to look for a flank as well. But Dignitas are going to try to isolate Dhokla. He pops the stasis, but he's not going to get any mileage out of the Slicing Maelstrom. He is destroyed by Zven. And now NRG, they've lost ground in the river, and they have to give it back up over to Dignitas.
Yeah, they're able to turn there onto Dhokla. We saw the super long flank from Isles, and then NRG makes the correct play, and they say, okay, we're just going to engage away from the flanker. But as they were exiting out from the fight, Dhokla was kind of sectioned off, and he just gets turned on, gets burnt down.
No flash.
Flash Magnet Storm, they know that he's a prime target. Contract tries to bail him out, but he doesn't have any ultimates to save it. Dignitas find a window, and now Palafox, he's walking in, but it's another throw. Bullet time rips him to shreds, and now NRG, they're falling apart.
Palafox just dove in there, doesn't even get the flash off.
Oh,
Dives in
no!
to die. That could be the Baron if he just stayed alive. If it's just the one pick, and Contractz and Palafox stay alive, they can defend this Baron no problem. Instead, Dignitas get the kills. They're going to the Baron. It's Huhi and Dhokla. Dhokla has no ultimate. Surely this is a dig Baron and maybe the throw from NRG.
It could be. Dhokla's here. No flash, no ult.
Wait, no smite on Spica. He has no smite for a couple seconds.
They're still doing it.
Huhi is going to try to get into the pit. Magical Journey's away from the equalizer. Dhokla can't get in,
Delaying.
but Huhi delays the Baron take. It's still at 4,000. I don't think Dhokla can get into the pit. It would have to be a stray shuriken, but the smite is good from Spica.
They've got to run.
Dignitas
There's
secure
no
the
tower.
Baron, but now they have to run from the rest of NRG. They're fleeing into the bushes for safety, and every member of Dignitas gets out alive.
What just happened? Dignitas was essentially on death's door, looking like their season is over, and then this.
Just let FBI die. I mean, it's a good play from Dig, right? But they're spending a lot to get it. Contractz can back out of this point, but it's the play from Palafox. He's trying to do too much. What is this Valkyrie in the middle of the whole team? And then doesn't flash, gets flashed on there by Spica. They burst him down. That is a flashback to the Palafox play in mid lane on the Azir, but this time Contractz can't bail him out. You can see the crushing feeling for Contractz right there as he knows those deaths might be the end of the season.
And that's been the type of stuff they've been struggling with all year, just being on the same page in team fights. Now the game back to being completely even. While Dig has this Baron buff, though, they're stronger. Jensen has just been gifted away back in this game. He's been hitting minions pretty much this whole time. So he's 50 CS up on Palafox now, and maybe even able to take that interior tier 2 turret.
Now, to take a step back, still, NRG are not out of this game, but that was what was looking like a guaranteed win for NRG to now a game that is maybe slightly Dig favored. I do still really like the NRG comp, though, and Isles is going to be able to get out of this. I mean, you can still play around Palafox. Yes, Palafox just had a monster throw, but he's almost 16. He has 3 items, so there are still absolutely ways that they can actually win this. And Jensen needs to get back down towards bot side if they want to play for this dragon. Otherwise, oh, Dhokla.
He's stuck. Slicing Maelstrom is not going to stop the pick from happening. Now Dignitas have a man advantage on the map.
And Jensen narrowly gets out. This is the type of collapse that can happen when you have a big lead and you immediately lose it. You still end up playing right afterwards as if you have that big lead, as if the other team is scared to 1v1 you because you have vision and control. With Dhokla dead, this just opens up Drake for Dig to equalize it 2-2.
Yeah, that really hurts because if he's alive, they're actually in a decent position to fight for that, right? To potentially take this dragon still. But now it is going to be no soul on the horizon for NRG. And Dignitas continue to take more and more. Look at this Baron buff. Plus 4,400, and that's after all the kills they got in mid lane. So, the entire run of play is probably like a 6,000 plus gold swing, if not more.
And that's even before the original Baron bait by NRG that was the failed engage. We didn't even get a replay of that moment. This comeback has been non-stop from Dignitas, clearing yet another turret. That is one of the highest Baron power plays we've seen this year, and it couldn't come at a better time for Dig.
I mean, this gold graph, if you include that entire run of play, like the failed Baron bait, the pick in mid, into all of this, it is just going to be an absolute cliff. That huge gold lead from NRG swinging all the way back to the other side. They are out on the map. They're looking for a pick, and they may have one on Isles.
Isles face checks, gets the Magna Storm. He might just be safe. The bullet time is going to zone the majority of the backline away, and Contractz cannot pull Isles back into the further pick. Tempered Fate just stops Zven in his tracks, but the Equalizer continues to push NRG back.
Yeah, the Equalizer gets dropped down. I think Licorice thought they were looking for a re-engage on Zven as they do hit that ult, so the Equalizer is a whiff. At the end of the day, they do get the flash off of Isles, and now he's dead for sure.
dead.
They go back for another pick. This time it's successful for NRG. Isles is gone, and now the man advantage for NRG. There's no Baron to play for another 2 minutes. We're going to take their advantages where they can get them.
To say that there's some nervy play happening right now would be an absolute understatement. That's back-to-back plays there by Isles where he gets picked. The first time, all of his team's ultimates get burned to save him, and then he just does it again. He just continues to walk forward without vision, gets picked, and NRG needs to keep looking for that. The one thing that has been constant here in this game for NRG is Huhi and his ability to get picks. He's still deathless. They need to just be in the sneaky spots. That, like, look at the vision right now, actually. NRG has great vision on the top side of the map. So they need to keep going back to that play to now come back in the game that they'd previously be in control of.
Yeah, exactly. You know, go back to what got you in that lead in the first place, like you're saying, right? You know, Huhi has been so good at finding these picks. Isles has been struggling to get vision without dying. It has been a problem for him throughout this series. And Huhi, as you said, deathless, involved in almost everything for the squad. Again, the carry's still strong for NRG. You have Palafox now level 16, so has that rank 3 of the ultimate. That's that big power spike that you look for. But on the other side, Jensen just finished his IE. Yeah. He's now on 4 items. He has had a really quiet game, got focused incredibly hard by NRG nonstop in the early game. It felt like everyone was coming from all angles. But he's been given away back into this game, so now it really is in his hands. He has the ability to carry this game from this position. A 2,000 gold lead on Zeri, 4 items. You've reached late game. Yep. There's no excuses. The early game pressure did not matter anymore. Yep. You've got to step up, and you've got to be able to get this across the finish line.
Richest player on the map. He had been to 8 consecutive world championships prior to last year. He has not been strong in this meta, but now on the AD carry after the poor early game, richest player in the game, and does actually need to perform to keep his team season alive. So that's the setup for Jensen. Let's see if Dig can pull it off.
The only member that is level 18, the strongest person alive. NRG have to know that he is the prime target, the crux that could keep Dignitas alive.
Oh, they tagged him.
Tempered Fate. It finds Zven. He's in trouble. Spica turns right onto Palafox. Isles is trying to buy time in the backline. The Impale does not land on the Spica. He's fine. Jensen goes over the wall. The lightning crash, and now his targets are the 2 remaining enemy carries for NRG. Palafox runs away. FBI is able to gain space, but they're still on the run. Zven tries to look to slow them down with the Make It Rain, but Dignitas are going to be content with the pick onto Contractz.
But they can go to Baron because that's the jungler down here. They would have loved to get more. You know, Jensen flashing in there, forces out the flash from Palafox, the barrier from FBI as well. But now they can just start up the Baron. They got 20 seconds until jungler respawns.
Dhokla's level 16 and Palafox is pretty strong at poking. They might think about fighting this one, but it's so hard to get in.
I think they will. If they give this up, it could be really bad. But if Dhokla can get in the pit, there's potential to turn this around.
Curtain Call is going to force Dignitas off the Baron, and as long as it resets, that's great for NRG. Contractz now spawning back on the map, and NRG have diffused the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, they were really nervous. This is a level 16 Kennen who is quite strong still. Does have those 3 items. If you get flash ulted in the pit, you could get absolutely eviscerated. That could be the end of the series. So afraid to make that final mistake here, and now it's going to be about the setup for the Dragon. And Dig is late to that setup here because they did not actually reset. Jensen does have TP, but again, if you show up late, you could get picked walking in.
Jensen, this has been one of his tendencies over the years to hold his TP, greet another wave, and go in. And I think the most important thing in that last fight ended up being Jensen's flash in. He didn't get the kills that could have broke open the game, and now he has no flash to Kennen's flash in a potential fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Palafox on the same side, though. That was the trade. You know, he flashed in, forced that flash on him. Isles has flash. Spica has flash. Licorice has flash. So who can capitalize on the missing summoners from these key carries here? Really could decide this one. Dignitas knows they were late to that setup. They're not going to be able to do anything about it. There is a pink in the pit, though, so they can't even be Baron baiting, because there is a pink in the pit from NRG in the back of it, I do believe. As Jensen should be okay. Got tagged by the root, but...
If Contractz had flash, I would imagine he would have sent it. But because there's no surefire way to close the distance on a flashless Jensen, they could not capitalize on the pick.
Man, who's going to win?
Oof.
I don't know.
I mean, this is just feeling like one of those series where there's going to be a massive hero and a massive zero. You know, it's really who can step up in these final moments and go big for their team. because one fight this late in the game really can be game-ending. If you have a wave pushing in your favor, if you get an ace, you might not even need the Baron. You could just walk it down and claim the series.
And it might be about keeping your heads too, because we need to call a spade a spade. We've seen some individual big misplays that have led to giant swings in this game, and because the pressure of Game 5 and all the extra pressure outside of Game 5 applies to this game, it's just, it seems like it's really difficult for these guys to stay connected and stay in their moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It is tough, and you can see Dig now, trying to push up, trying to reclaim some of this vision. It had been absolutely dominated over by the Baron, by NRG for the last minute or so. They cleared out all the wards. They got that all down. Dig move in as 5. They have had Isles get picked a number of times as he was walking in for vision, so this time they do it as a 5-man squad. They have the bot wave pushing. No one has gone to answer that for quite some time because everyone knows a fight could break out and maybe the TP's too slow. Dhokla, though, is kind of sneaking in behind them, and if Dignitas doesn't get the info that he's over there, it could be catastrophic if they were to walk up.
FBI keeps landing the roots on Jensen, and Jensen has no cleanse, and there's no Mikhails. It's so dicey.
I mean, FBI has been insane with those Ws. It feels like he's hitting every single one instantly as soon as the damage is applied.
For NRG, they've been trying to constantly push for mid control and get Dhokla a sneaky way into the jungle quadrant and look for that flank, but it's not paid off so far yet.
So, I mean, to check back in, we haven't talked about Licorice's items for a long time. Last time was when he actually just completed the Abyssal. Talked about solo AP, you need to be a threat. Now he has a Death Cap. Now he has a Shadow Flame. That's the kind of stuff that you really want to see in his solo AP game. There's going to be no MR at all on the other team besides a tiny little bit from Contractz, but that's about it. So those carries will be really vulnerable if you can get that proper equalizer, if you can follow up on something like a big engage from Isles or that ultimate from Spica. It can be huge. I think Contractz really intelligent to go the route of grabbing these support items late. He grabs the locket. It's not really about you. It's about keeping your carries alive.
Yeah, double locket, a little bit redundant, but still very important to deal with the equalizer. It does feel like this game is probably not going to have much happen until the next Drake. NRG being able to get that third Drake is really big. Quite huge, considering they were the weaker team at the time. It was just a matter of them being more cognizant of the respawn timer. For the time being, they are actually controlling some vision around Baron, so if they get a pick, they'll obviously take it, but I think it should come down to that next Drake.
It is interesting, though, because they're setting up a potential to maybe play for that Baron. You look at their vision line, it's all up on this top side, right? And then you look down on the bot side, there's no vision for them in the whole Dragon Quadrant. So there is potential that they can say, okay, we know you guys have to stop us from getting stole. You're going to go down there.
And trade.
Maybe we actually look for a trade. Those can be very risky because the Baron is, of course, much more tanky, and one person can go out the Dragon while the other 4 delay the Baron. But it does feel like, just based on where NRG are setting all their wards, they're at least considering that line of play.
You just got to be so terrified if all of NRG is in the pit and Licorice is the one that scouts and just throws a nasty equalizer with all of its ability power. Tempered Fate does not land on the Spica. He dodges it, but Contractz is going to pursue for the play. Deadly Flourish dodged by Spica, and NRG regain control of the top side.
Hey, credit to Spica. Very fast reaction.
Yeah.
He wasn't window shopping. He knew his recall was a little bit unsafe, and now they might be going for more.
Dhokla is showing bot, so Dignitas knows they can try to force a play, get that TP out. They have not all the vision, though, knocked out, so there are some wards behind them they have to be really careful about. So they are moving down towards this dragon. They want to play for that. Jensen try to control that vision and that minion wave in mid. And they're trying to scout out. You can see Licorice was hunting around. They didn't know if Dhokla was behind them. Now they have a pretty good idea that he is not, but NRG, again, going up towards that Baron, as I was saying.
Exactly, and it looks like Dig would love to keep someone around that Drake, but the Baron has been started, so Dig have to move people up.
See him. Now this is so risky. If you commit to this and it goes bad, it's game over, it's season over, but they're still hitting it.
9,000 HP on the Baron. Spica is starting to walk up now.
Licorice is going to solo the dragon.
They're calling the bluff.
But a teleport from Dhokla. He finds the flank! Big Dokes into the impale! Bullet time doesn't do a damn thing! And Zven is flashing away from the Tempered Fate. NRG maintain all 5 while Dignitas lose 2.
And I love what NRG's doing after this too, going to secure the soul rather than taking the Baron. They do not want Spica and Zven to be able to get this.
NRG are maintaining their composure in the highest stake game of this season, and they are pushing Dignitas around, maintain control of the Dragon Pit, and gain soul.
Man, I just love how they played that out. It is so well done by NRG. They control vision on that top side for so long, and then it is really just all about that ward right there from Dhokla. Dig tried to come back in and clear out all these wards, but it's impossible to get every single one, and that ward was the difference maker.
Licorice face checks, he gets popped! Another big Dokes moment as he gets the shutdown onto Licorice. Dignitas down 2 members. Jensen spawning in 8 seconds. This Baron take is not the fastest, but no one from Dignitas can even challenge.
And these death timers are really long. Jensen just respawned now after the Soul and Baron had been taken, so NRG back in control.
And NRG are just going to keep pushing. They're not actually going to reset. They know that those respawns are so long, so they want to get as much done as they can on the map right now. They're going to walk up. The tier 2 top instantly dead. Jensen's
big temper fate from Huhi. Jensen has flash, gets away from the Impale, stays alive, and now pops the lightning crash, but that is a lot of damage from NRG, pushing him back into the base.
Huhi's so clutch, still making every play. Jensen's out of this fight. NRG's going to push hard.
Inhibitor turret will fall. The inhibitor will be next. Licorice spawns in 10 seconds. We'll see if NRG want to take their chances of pushing into the base, but they're going to back off for now and rotate to the mid lane.
Yeah, look at mid. Palafox pushing that up. He has the GA now as well. Dignitas moving out as Dhokla got knocked the wrong way from that blast cone, but it's going to be fine. Just now, Licorice finally respawning. Gig going to try to hold on here.
Spica tries to engage onto Palafox, but doesn't find the vault breaker. Dios míos, guys, this game is so crazy close. NRG have found the window where they are back in the lead after they threw it 20 minutes ago.
And it's this play, that ward, Dig trying to slow contest this Baron because Licorice wasn't even here for a potential fight, and Jensen just gets clean one shot to start this fight. Never a chance with the way he was positioned. That could be the play to break it open.
Yeah, that was massive from Dhokla, and they're able to find the follow-up there. You could see multiple people flashing. Contractz flashed in, Huhi flashed in. They all committed. They're saying, no way we let him get out of this. They are able to finish him off. They had the Impale there to follow. They had the slows from the Bard to follow as well. But the game is not over just yet. There's a minute on the Baron. If they can hold on for this, it could come down to a potential Elder as well.
Because perfect timing on this gold graph.
Oh my God.
You just never know. You never know what's going to happen next. Baron buff, Infernal Soul, maybe even an Elder, might not matter. Because we also know that they're really squishy team comps on both sides. So no matter your gold lead, no matter your buffs, if you get caught in the wrong spot, you're gone. And that's going to be the fight decider. So NRG trying to make something happen here.
There's a flank attempt from Dignitas, trying to see if they can wait for NRG to push up. Spica is going to send it. Palafox has flash. FBI is all the way in the back, safe. Spica sends it on to Dhokla. He gets blown up, but it's a massive impale. Maybe NRG can survive. Palafox Valkyrie's over the wall, gets the safety, and FBI is able to fire on back. And in the end, it's just a trade of kills.
What a great engage from Dig, but this is the problem. Look at the base. They've got to defend the base. They can't actually get anything done off the back of it. They do lose a Nexus tower. It's a good snap engage. It's a great kill immediately in onto Dhokla, but it's just that. It's just a kill. A little bit of gold here. They're going to lose a tier 2. They're going to lose a Nexus tower. The Baron buff will expire, though, and I think this game is going to Elder. Unless there can be a pick prior to the Elder, it's going to be all about that. It's going to be about the setup for it. Here it is, one more time. Spica goes in, immediate engage, great follow-up from Miles, bullet time over the top. There was that denial from Huhi pretty quickly on that bullet time, but still, the damage was done. They all got roasted from that, and thankfully the zap didn't connect on a Palafox, or he could have lost the GA.
And that's a crazy play by Spica that pays off, because if they just find him a little bit early, pull back and kill him, that's at least 2 inhibitors gone for the team. They'd already lost the top inhibitor, and the bottom one would have been completely indefensible. So that risk pays off in keeping them kind of in this game, and it brings both of their carries to full build. Yeah. This is a reminder that we're super late game. We're 44 minutes in here.
And it's double GA plus Zhonya's for NRG, right? So that is always really, really difficult. So not only do you have to win the fight or get that initial pick, you now have to have enough going that you can be running over the fight and kill them as they respawn, right? You have to be winning the rest of that fight. There is a GA over on Zven. Jensen does not have one. But the Seeker is just now purchased up here by Licorice, as Jensen is now truly 6 items.
We got a Zephyr.
Boots. He has the Zephyr.
Oh boy.
It's pretty rare to see in competitive people go this deep, but he's got 465 CS. I imagine Zven, if this goes much longer, is going to swap over and try to grab a Zephyr himself. But man, this is true late game. Yes, the Infernal Soul does matter a lot, But honestly, when you get 40, 50 minutes into the game, the lethality is so high, you just instantaneously die that it's way more about execution than gold at this point.
I could not agree more, Leo. I thought we had seen the bloodiest and the most intense games of the series back-to-back in games 3 and 4. And the way that NRG started, it seemed like it was just going to be a stomp. They had the game in their hands at around 20 minutes, but then the series and sequence of disastrous moments for NRG gave Dignitas the window back, but now NRG are once again seemingly so close to winning this series and keeping their season alive.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of wards, and that's
they might want to play for the Elder Dragon.
They might want to do a teleport play with Kennen when the Elder Dragon happens.
It's worked out so well. Spica might be caught. The flash and pale. They find the jungler. The re-engage from Isles, but a good tempered fate stops it. But Dhokla doesn't get anything from the slicing maelstrom. But NRG still lead with the kills. All 5 members still alive as Palafox takes one. Licorice sends it. Flame Spitter cooks up the 80 carries of NRG, and NRG are falling. Dhokla and Contractz trying to run for the hills. This could just be Licorice winning the game for Dignitas.
Oh my God, that play as they go in. Dhokla went in for the ulti, but Huhi had thrown his ulti first. Zven is going down mid. They're going to have to try to take the Elder. Huhi and Dhokla are back there. Their wave clear is very poor. They're really split on the decision-making. They're walking back from the Dragon to mid over and over and over, and now they're going to commit to going for the Dragon here.
Zven thought it was endable. It wasn't. Now, actually, Jensen recalls and is going to show on bot wave, which might have given a window for this Elder to be contested. That's why Dhokla's moving around now. Zven should be able to secure this to give them Elder and then possibly Baron afterwards.
No flash, no ult on Dhokla, so I don't think there's any way they could win that 2v2. If you walk over, you just die. But that is heartbreaking for NRG. The miscommunication on the timing there. If Dhokla waited a split second longer, that is probably a game-ending play because Huhi hit the double ult on the carries. If you get in on top, then pop the ulti, but he popped the ulti early, and now they're in on the Baron. Contractz respawning in 5. Palafox is on the map.
Dhokla would love to go in. Licorice is about to show bot lane. I feel like they probably give us up. Huhi can ult it to delay a little bit.
AB, Tempered Fate right at 1200 HP.
Missile.
Palafox,
QW.
Rocket! Spica secures the Baron for Dignitas. NRG down GAs on both of their marksmen for the next minute. That is going to be so tough. And Dignitas, once again, guys, have somehow regained control of this game.
I mean, this is just insanity. I really want to see that replay one more time around that previous fight before the Elder. That was insanity. And NRG have to hold the line now against Elder, but it's 1,000 times harder when they also have Baron because now you can't just kill the waves and not fight.
We might not have time for this replay because they're walking this minion wave up, and we know that Dhokla could try and find a flank at any time. The lethality is so ridiculously high at this stage in the game. Looks like Dig is going to try and 5-man this top wave in.
They're going to try to dive. I think this is what this is signifying. They're not going to split. They're not going to be playing any sort of a silly game, but at the same time, if you mess up that dive, you can still get roasted here. Dhoklas on the side has no flash and is now spotted.
Really big root right onto Dignitas. Spica is chunked. Ball breakers back and away, and the execute is always looming there as a threat. NRG have to be so careful about this defense.
Critically, Dig carries do have their flashes. There's no flash on Palafox or FBI, so that really is a big difference maker here. But Dig have got to choose their moment. They've got to go soon if they're going to do it here.
They are running out of time on that Elder buff. Curtain Call is popped. Tempered Fate buys some time. The Equalizer right on top of FBI. Isles is trying to stall the fight, but Huhi falls and Contractz is next. Dignitas have 5-3. No GAs for the marksman of NRG. It all comes down to this. Season is on the line. Dignitas have a window to push S5.
They have to wait for the next wave. They have to just wait for it. Baron's still up for a minute. Elder's going to be gone. FBI, Palafox, Dhokla still have the Infernal buff. They're going to have to make a last stand.
Palafox, Dhokla, and FBI. Can they pull out the Hail Mary? Spica sends it. Palafox is blown up. Dhokla with the slicing maelstrom only finds one. It's it. Dignitas will push through. They dig deeper. They will bleed it out. But Dignitas will not throw this season away.
And they're taking their time somehow at the very end. What an unbelievable sequence and unbelievable series we just watched.
Absolute heartbreak for NRG. And in one word for Dignitas, it has to be relief that they hang on. They edge out NRG in a ridiculously close series here, back and forth all the way to the bitter end. The slimmest of margins making the difference in these fights. They are going to be replaying some of these moments over and over and over in their heads, knowing if only they did the smallest thing different, if they changed one thing here, one thing there, the series could have gone the other way. But at the end of the day, Dig season continues. They'll move forward.
And we're going to be joining Kobe on stage for the interview with a triumphant Dignitas.
Season on the line, game 5. Walk me through the final moments here.
Oh, that was so low elo, it's unbelievable. I don't know, bro. I have this like feeling like I can like stand straight right now. It's like
Honestly, that was a crazy game. Going back and forth.
That's one way to describe it, yeah.
Multiple throws in that game. Multiple throws in that game. But what, as you look forward in the gauntlet, is going to be your goals here for Dignitas? You have either 100 Thieves or Team Liquid coming next.
Yeah, we need Jesus, I think. I don't know, bro. It's like a little demoralizing to play games like this where like you're so doomed you can't win unless they find a way to mess up. But honestly, like we had really good scrims this week, and I thought the way the first game went and third game went was how it was going to go the whole week. But it's not really how it worked out on stage. But I really thought we had found some sort of like improvement from last week in scrims this week. So I felt a lot more confident than this showed.
Is there anything in particular from this last week that you guys really feel like you improved on?
I just feel like the last couple weeks our mid games were super bad. They're also bad today. But in scrims, I feel like we're making progress slowly, so I felt really confident. But then just today, I think we just had to like man up a little bit and just send it. We're playing champs like Vi and Rumble and Rell. We just need to just flash in and just go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's just how it is, right?
Well, there is some magic to the gauntlet, to the lower brackets. Do you think that this is going to be the spark for Dig season?
No.
Is it finally time?
No, I think I really do believe we have something that's special. Once it clicks, we'll be there. But right now, it's not really clicking.
All right, they're still looking for the spark this week in scrims. It's going to be there. Dignitas, congratulations on the win. We're going to send it up. Good stuff.
Thank you, Kobe and Zven. I like how honest he was there, though, right? Like, he was like, scrims went great. I don't know what happened.
We're not done. We're doing one more.
I was prepared for the Dig season, and then he simmered it a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll hold this for next week.
I mean, I feel like you do have to come out of this, though, being like, okay, it's a rough showing from both sides.
It's one of those moments where you're just like, look, a win is a win. We took it. Let's just pound through scrims, and then we'll get better off of it. But my God, what a game 5 this was. Legitimately back and forth, I think about 3 times. NRG like lost it, they threw it, and then they regained it, and then they threw it again, and Dignitas was there to pick it up.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think that's why it probably is so frustrating from, just taking Zven's side in this, where he's like, I know that we are better than this.
Yes.
And we still have not shown it. And looking ahead, if we don't, we are eliminated. I think the coolest thing was when under pressure, they were able to dig deep, come up big in some of these team fights. Right now, though, we are actually going to hear from Kobe and Contractz to kind of bookend NRG's season.
A lot going through your head after a game like that. I can see you shaking your head as you're listening and they're talking about the throws. But if you take a deep breath and look back at your season right now for NRG, do you have any big takeaways?
I think we can look back at this series and say that we put our all with, no regret. I have no regret. I feel like I gave it my all. I think my teammates gave it their all. It sucks that we couldn't, close out in clean fashion, win this game. But I think it's just really emotional because, next year, you don't really know what's going to happen. So just really enjoyed playing with my teammates for 3 years.
Yeah, super long time together. You guys have had some huge successes, had times at Worlds
big wins on the international stage, and I can see you still have the drive. Anything to look forward to for the next steps here for next year?
I think my main goal is definitely to keep playing. It's what I want to do. It's my passion. Whether I'm able to do that or not is yet to be seen, but I just have to take it day by day. I'm not too sure.
Well, the fans in the audience were giving you a standing ovation. You definitely still have the heart. Looking forward to seeing you again. We're going to send it back.
Thank you, Contractz. I feel like this NRG team is really special, right?
Yeah.
Like watching them be able to come through, win summer, to have it end here. I was really appreciative of Contractz for calling out his teammates and just talking, again, like it's obviously very emotional, but talking about how much this team meant to him.
Yeah, because they've been through it all, like the highest of highs going up against G2 at Worlds that we always mention, and then, going through the lows, and you go through what seems like a battle with your teammates, and you share some kind of ridiculous memories. So the feeling's there for a reason. You never know how the season is going to pan out going into the next one, but love them all, and I hope that, they land in a great place.
Yeah, it was a tough battle for both teams, I think. And again, shout out to Contractz for doing that interview. All the best to him and NRG. Now we do turn it back to Dignitas.
Yep.
Player of the series. Who do you think it's going to be, Rez?
I think it was a man with a few Entofos on his hand. It was definitely Licorice.
Yeah.
He was huge.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for Licorice for me is the way that they were able to play around him in the swap, finally.
Yeah.
Like, Mayberry talked about it in his interview. They talked about it just generally. I assume this is what they were looking better on in scrims, was coming out of the lane swap with such good advantages. And he looked, this was, I believe, off the back of that, it was like a delayed triple kill at the Dragon fight where he just absolutely popped off. So congrats to Licorice, because I think up until this point, he had kind of a rough season.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember just off the last series that they had, he was the one that talked about practice regimen, that they needed to have a better culture. And then you're hearing from that interview that they were confident based off their scrims, and if it's turning out well from them and they're getting confidence of it, that means like it's a better Dignitas. And I'm interested to see what the next series is, because they're now going through this gauntlet and they might surprise a few people with the performance that they had right now. Obviously, it was a back and forth series. That man right up there, making special things happen.
Yeah, keep working on lane swaps, because you're going to see him when you have to face one of TL or FlyQuest potentially.
And if it's 100 Thieves, remember, they had like a really tough series and a reckoning because of lane swaps.
Yep.
So going up against 100 Thieves, if that does happen, if that's the series that might happen in the lower bracket, they'll be better prepared.
Yep, and let's pull up that bracket to see what's going to happen. So basically, a reminder for our viewers at home, the higher seed that drops down from the top bracket does get automatically seeded into the next round. So it'll be Dignitas awaiting the lower seed of the loser of either TL or 100 Thieves or C9 FlyQuest.
So the only way 100 Thieves can escape being in that specific game versus Dignitas is simply winning. They
upset TL.
They have to upset TL, because C9 and FlyQuest have a much better, standings when they're in the regular season. So that's going to be something I'm looking forward to.
Yep, and here we have the playoff bracket for NACL, which is happening now. We've had a lot of shakeups in NACL, honestly, with the kind of FlyQuest and Team Liquid teams getting dropped down a peg.
It's kind of crazy. It's insane that that's been the case. Now, TLC are going to have to go up against DSG to be able to move on in that lower bracket. It's the same system. So them and FlyQuest being upset is insane. So I'm really looking to see what Dragonsteel can do on the upper bracket.
That's what happens when Brandon Sanderson, joins here.
It's magic. I haven't read his book, but it's magic. I promise you. I promise.
That is it for us. Thanks for sticking around. We will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves. And now let's send it over to LCS Challengers for some NACL playoffs.
Hit tower, hit tower. Ulting. Yep.
I flashed out.
We win here. EM4. Let Poppy.
I have ulti still. I still have ulti, okay?
Yeah, low.
Keep going if you can.
Yeah, I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
He might get snared. He's snared.
It's all you guys.
Nothing.
I have ulti if you want.
Ori flash? No, right?
Don't flash Ori.
Or no flash. Look for her.
I'm looking at
Zin.
Yeah, looking
AD
at
after.
That's it. Wait, AD? I can shield you.
Good chair.
It's just bank.
It's just bank, I think.
Nice drop, guys. My champ is really balanced.
Your champ is really balanced. We kind of fizzed them early, no?
Big Dokes is just vegan, no?
Yeah. I started the lane with 100 HP, and this guy couldn't lane.
Freak.
I'm tanking.
Yeah.
I have
one
shield
more.
For you. Yeah, that's it. Nice, guys.
Okay.
That's
They're
going.
Deeping?
I can only hit Sedge. Okay, kill Sedge.
It's not good.
It's not good now.
Like a Rumble?
Yeah.
Turret's gone.
I have nothing.
Quick kill?
No, nothing.
Run.
Sedge no flash. Corki flash.
Front. I got stunned after.
Oh.
Let's get out after.
Yeah, can you guys... It's just this guy.
Overkill, but you know what? NRG, they get stomped in the game 1. They're going to stomp them right back in game 2, and the series is tied 1-1.
Come back a bit. I can't enter right now. Look at Vi's walking up too far.
Watch out MF after.
Yeah.
Watch out MF.
Rell no flash.
Lily no flash.
Okay, that's that.
It goes over to Spica. The rest of NRG now have to fight through the bullet time as it gets interrupted by Huhi. Spica now finds himself in the back line. Licorice all out on FBI, brings him in isolation and takes him down. The rest of NRG are forced to run.
Quay no flash in.
Quay
no flash in.
Look Quay.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Nice.
Big.
I'm looking on this guy.
Okay, this guy's just griefing.
Watch Hedge after.
Yeah, I'm looking Sedge.
Popping all.
Run away.
You haven't
Slow,
up here.
very slow.
Okay. When they walk here,
Okay, I'm going now.
Okay, looking.
Walk up. I'm getting
walking.
Look.
Zeri. Hell yeah!
Okay.
Palafox, Dhokla, and FBI. Can they pull out the Hail Mary? Spica sends it. Palafox is blown up. Dhokla with the slicing maelstrom. Only 5